A Riviera Beach businessman and car enthusiast is at it again, creating a sports car he says will blow the doors off just about any production car on or off the road.
You get a man that engineers cars based on a stopwatch, an automotive designer with a knack for Corvettes, and give them access to a $100 million piece of software. Well, you get one of the greatest stories never told. Mr. Mosler and Mr. Trenet came from very different backgrounds, one a gazillionaire securities and bonds trader and the other a salaried employee of Unigraphic Solutions. But they both shared a common philosophy of their ideal sports car. A couple emails back and forth of renderings would spark a partnership between these two individuals and would birth the true potential of what the Corvette should have been. And it was called the MT900, standing for Mosler and Trenet, and a 900 kilogram target weight. At the heart of the MT900 was General Motors' billion-dollar experiment into the 21st century small block V8, the aluminum block LS engine found in the C5 generation Corvette. But unlike the C5, it was located behind the cockpit where it belonged. This dynamic duo would create the car Zora Duntov longed for General Motors to build, and it was a glimpse of Corvettes to come some 2 decades later. This is the story of the MT900. There's a saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And if you were in the room with a man named Warren Mosler, you were in the right room. His passion outside of running a $2.5 billion hedge fund and being fluent in macroeconomics was developing cars with an ungodly power-to-weight ratio. His disdain with mid-80s American sports cars that were praised in magazines but underperformed on the racetrack led him to put his money where his mouth was, $2.5 million to be exact, on his Riviera Beach facility to develop his own ideal sports car under the name Consulier. This idea was a one-piece body and frame comprised of composite foam and carbon fiber with no structural metal in the body. This made it ridiculously lightweight while maintaining excellent structural rigidity, which he demonstrated by picking up the frame and even hopping on the roof. The power plant was unconventional for sports cars at the time. The 2.2-liter Chrysler Turbo 2 inline-4 from the Shelby Daytona Z, and even with 175 intercooled ponies located behind the cockpit, it could put down impressive numbers. "5 seconds to 60, 13.5 second quarter mile, which was unheard of for a mid-80s sports car, and it was called the Consulier GTP. They would dominate IMSA supercar racing for 6 years before being officially banned in 1991, and that was after being slapped with a 300-pound weight penalty to even the playing field.
But there is your overall winner, no doubt about that, Lance Stewart.
The Consulier would grab the interest of Dave Heel, the chief engineer of the upcoming 5th generation Corvette, and General Motors would purchase one from Warren Mosler for research purposes. The car would catch the eye of a Corvette design team member named Rod Trenet. Trenet would spend many late nights at the Warren, Michigan office designing his dream supercar on the cutting-edge Unigraphic Solutions software that cost an estimated $100 million to develop. He saw the Consulier as a car that had everything but one very important attribute: curb appeal. Trenet wrote a letter to Warren Mosler in November of 1995 proposing they combine his design expertise and Mosler's engineering prowess to build the American equivalent to the Ferrari F50. After a couple emails of renderings, Warren Mosler wrote back, "Let's do it." Trenet would go directly to Unigraphics to help finance this project. This gave Mosler and Trenet the software many full-scale manufacturers would dream to have, and their vision could skip the clay modeling phase and jump straight to production. After 7 major styling overhauls, out came a design with the appearance of a GT1 race car, but with Corvette DNA. The data was fed into CNC machines to create the plugs to lay the sheets of carbon to create the body. The monocoque was comprised of a carbon and aluminum honeycomb structural board, a design found in aircraft floors and bulkheads. The Corvette DNA was injected into the suspension using C5 upper control arms, and it was using the C5 body control module for traction control and ABS. And most importantly, the C5's engine, the LS1. The LS1's all-aluminum construction shaved 90 pounds in comparison to its previous generations of small block engines. It added cross-bolted main caps for rigidity and larger, longer intake ports and shallower valve angle from 23 degrees to 15 degrees for better volumetric efficiency, which equaled more power. Initial test figures were astounding to say the least. It went from hard drive to test drive in a time span that wasn't possible by even the most prestigious of manufacturers. And it was the ticket to finally make Mosler Automotive a profitable side gig for Warren. But it had one big problem: the EPA. Now, problems are just a part of life, but the way we react to them can make them bigger than they really are. The best advice I've ever gotten was you can't control the first thought, but you can choose the second one. And that mindset helped me break out of so many downward spirals. I got that advice in therapy, and BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy much easier. They'll connect you with a licensed therapist who offers supportive, unbiased guidance, and after a quick questionnaire, you can be matched with one in just a couple days. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can feel confident while using. BetterHelp accepts both HSA and FSA cards, making it easier to prioritize your mental health, and in 2024 alone, over 137,000 people used their HSA or FSA benefits for therapy through BetterHelp. So be sure to use yours before they expire. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/337speed and get 10% off your first month of therapy. And remember, you don't have to go through these problems alone. The Clean Air Act required that all vehicles sold in the U.S. to have a certificate of conformity from the EPA, which demonstrated that the respective engine and vehicle conforms to all of the applicable emissions requirements. Even though the LS1 in the MT900 was virtually untouched from its compliant Corvette donor, since it was in a new chassis, it needed to start the certification process all over again, which would take years. In the meantime, the MT900 went where the EPA had no jurisdiction: the road course. This new MT900 with an R attached to the name was made to challenge Porsche GT3s in the Pratt & Miller C5R Corvette. The 5.7-liter LS1 powering the prototype was replaced with the C5 Z06 derived LS6 engine. They were the same displacement, but the LS6 had 243 casting cylinder heads with larger ports and smaller combustion chambers, bumping up the compression. The camshaft was more aggressive in duration and lift. The intake manifold could supply more air, and the red line was raised from 6,250 to 6,500 RPM. It lost 150 kilograms from the road-going prototype, added more downforce, and very little changed in the bodywork design between the road car and the race car. The MT900R would pit its crosshairs on endurance races around the world like the Rolex 24. But in its 2001 Daytona debut, it was off to a rough start. An unproven chassis, inclement weather, and a tough lineup of Porsche 911s and K-Tech 427 powered C5Rs ended the MT900R in 73rd overall amongst 79 entrants starting. Even with the lackluster performance, MT900Rs were beginning to sell to race teams wanting a race-ready mid-engine Corvette for a starting price of $119,000. One of those teams was the French Perspective Racing, who would in 2002 show the MT900R's potential at Daytona with a 13th place overall among 74 entrants and finishing 5th in its class behind, you guessed it, 4 Porsche 911s. The Roll Center Racing team would take the MT900R to Australia and place second in the Bathurst 24-hour race, only behind a Holden Monaro 427C. In 2003, however, the MT900 would finally get the win it was looking for. At the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the MT900R under Perspective Racing would fight its way to a first-place finish in the GTS class, beating its conceptual father, the Corvette C5R, a Celine S7R, and a Porsche 911 GT3R. The MT900 wasn't just an ambitious prototype, it was now proof that Zora Duntov's ultimate goal of a mid-engine Corvette was the right direction for GM. It wasn't until December 14, 2004, nearly 4 years after the initial MT900 prototype, that the EPA finally gave Mosler a certificate of conformity, making it legal to sell to the public. It broke acceleration test records held by Motor Trend, and it was quicker than the Porsche Carrera GT and Ferrari Enzo. It was also cheaper to service since it used plenty of federalized parts from the Corvette, and finding replacement components was as easy as calling up your local GM dealership with a part number. At a price of $164,000, it was a performance bargain compared to exotics. Mosler anticipated building at least 2 cars per month, but it struggled to build even half that number.
If all goes as planned, Mosler will be building one of these a week, starting later this year.
They would produce 12 vehicles in 2004, 8 vehicles in 2005, and 13 vehicles in 2006. Over the period between 2004 and 2006, Mosler Automotive had a net operational loss totaling over $3 million, and the retained deficit of the company exceeded over $23 million. What Mosler needed was international recognition as a supercar manufacturer, and the FIA GT3 championship was where it needed to race. Mosler Automotive invested over €500,000 on converting the MT900 to an FIA GT3 spec race car with the help of Roll Center Racing in the UK. It was powered by the newly developed by General Motors 7-liter LS7 V8, replacing the LS6, and it made 525 horsepower and revved to 7,200 RPM. But when the MT900 GT3 applied for the waiver, Aston Martin, Porsche, Ferrari, and Jaguar all lobbied extremely hard to make sure they were not accepted, and the FIA World Council denied homologation for the MT900. This was a devastating blow to Mosler Automotive financially and for brand recognition outside of North America. Despite the setbacks, the MT900 was breaking records in magazine shootouts. In 2008, Car and Driver hosted their Lightning Lap, a 4.2-mile timed shootout at the Virginia International Raceway Grand Course. The top contenders were the R35 Nissan GTR, the Viper ACR, the F430 Scuderia. The GTR posted a time of 2 minutes and 55.6 seconds, the F430 Scuderia a time of 2 minutes and 54.6 seconds, the Viper ACR a time of 2 minutes 48.6 seconds, and the MT900S with its 550 horsepower LS7 and 2,500 pound curb weight a time of 2 minutes and 45.9 seconds, a new Lightning Lap record. Car and Driver wrote it was just so astoundingly fast that frankly our amateur skills could not fully exploit its capabilities. These wins were too little and too late for Mosler Automotive. By 2012, the once 40-employee facility in Riviera Beach, Florida dwindled to just 2 employees, with no cars being sold for 2 years. Warren listed the 45,000 square foot facility for $3.375 million, and it was purchased by a private company called RP High Performance Incorporated. Rossian Automotive was also purchased by them, a company that initially imported Noble M400s, then built their own called the Q1 with Hyundai Sonata taillights and a 500 horsepower twin-turbo Ford Duratec V6 in the middle. The goal was to combine Mosler's high-tech operation and knowledge of composites with Rossian's Q1, but that never grew to fruition, and Rossian would go dark. This idea of a mid-engine Corvette wouldn't go completely into the dark though. Spy shots of a mid-engine Corvette prototype would surface at the Milford Proving Grounds in January 2015, wearing a Holden SSV Ute body and hiding some very important mechanisms under the bed cover. Then in April of 2019, GM would officially announce the mid-engine C8 Corvette. Where the MT900 struggled to be a sales success, the C8 was an instant hit, continuing the legacy of where Zora Duntov left off. Most people know the MT900 as an unbeatable cheat code in the Forza Horizon games, but to me the MT900 represents the pursuit of a small team in Riviera Beach, Florida to create one of the most ambitious projects in American car history. And even though it met an early demise, it created a splash in the industry that everybody can sit back and appreciate.
Now, if you want to learn more about Mosler's MT900, it will be featured in the March issue of Car and Driver magazine. Race fans can see it at the 24 Hours of Daytona in 2 weeks.